Hey everybody, welcome to the Golden Joker TV. My name is Solange and you can find us on all social media platforms and use the hashtag TJG. Our guest today is Eric Johnston. Hey. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right, so my first question for you is, who would you say some of your biggest influences are?
I influence a lot, like for me growing up in the suburbs, there was not a lot to do as a kid unless it was play sports or play an instrument. I didn't do either of those things. I got these fat fingers. I couldn't play guitar. I didn't play sports. I played soccer for one summer because I thought I was Italian for a summer, but I'm not, and I just was terrible at it. So I watched a lot of TV. I think that's kind of what kids in the suburb do. I'd come home. Now, in like the early, I think 95, Comedy Network Canada came out. Comedy Network. And I remember just watching over and over and over just for laughs, and Comedy at Club 54, and the same episodes every day. I didn't care. I'd watch the same ones over and over and over because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the silliness, the goofiness of it. But what I wasn't realizing is I was imprinting the rhythms and pacing of stand-up comedy in my mind. So when I decided to do it when I was 20 years old, it was very easy for me. Now, obviously, there's like I grew up watching greats like Jerry Seinfeld and newer guys, obviously Louis C.K. and stuff like that. But I generally work pretty clean. I'm a cleaner comic. So Brian Regan's a really popular clean comic, and I'm a big fan of Sebastian Maniscalco. He's a big Italian comic. He's on the rise right now. He's going to be one of the biggest comics in the entire world. I actually had the opportunity to open for him. So he's a high-energy comic. I'm a high-energy comic. We kind of work well together. If we ever do work together again, I don't know if that'll happen. But yeah, I think all comedy influences me. The idea of being silly and fun and outgoing is an influence. So.
Now, because I've been blacking out a lot recently, I'm not saying it's cool, but I've realized something. I realized that there's a difference between when a girl goes out with her group of friends and blacks out, and when a guy goes out with his group of friends and he blacks out. First of all, with the girls, if a girl goes out and she blacks out, first of all, major difference, her friends care. Number one.
Where do you get your inspiration from?
I know all comics say life. I'm inspired by life, my family members and stuff. That's a very obviously general answer, but it's true. The more true you become on stage of I'm presenting Eric Johnston to the world. Your life as you as a performer, as an entertainer, but as a person living in the world. I've got material just being here in the 48th floor of the Twisty building, I called it, but now it's the Marilyn Monroe Towers. That's my inspiration. Family, friends, like my group of friends, we all bust each other's balls. There's nothing funnier than that. My family, my mom, my sister, my dad was a huge influence in my life. He was one of the funniest guys I've ever met, and a lot of people have ever met. Now that my dad's friends say, "Oh, you're a comic? Oh, that makes sense. Your dad was hilarious." Well, your dad was the funniest guy we knew. So that's my influence.
What is your most interesting childhood memory?
I had a very, very interesting childhood. So my dad, who I was just speaking about, was a professional wrestler in the WCW and WWF and ACW and Canadian wrestling. So my childhood consists of having pool parties with Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan and the Giant and stuff like that. Or these guys would come on the road, and if they were wrestling in Toronto or Hamilton or whatever, they'd kind of stay at my house, this big house, and big pool in the backyard. The Bushwhackers, all these great, legendary Hall of Fame wrestlers are all hanging out at my house, and I'm going to WCW events. So yeah.
So how did you not follow in your dad's footsteps?
I kind of did to a degree. So my dad was a professional wrestler. He traveled, he toured, he booked, he promoted, he hustled. He performed, he was funny, he was a funny bad guy, one of the first original comedic heels, they're called. And I just kind of saw what it did to his body, a lot of these wrestlers' bodies. So I like to say I'm very much like my father, I just don't take any of the bumps. I don't have to put my body on the line every night. I mean, sometimes you go out on the road and you're in Sault Ste. Marie and you slip on some ice and fall, but other than that, I'm pretty safe.
I found out that I was allergic to gluten the day after I ended a 3-year relationship with my girlfriend. The day after. Do you understand how hard that was for me? I had to say goodbye to the love of my life so soon after breaking up with my girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? It's tough. And breakup food is gluten. All you want to do is drink beer and eat fucking pizza. Like, listen, I downloaded the Domino's app before I downloaded Tinder. I'm like, I gotta find some hot pies in my neighborhood.
How do you deal with hecklers?
How do I deal with hecklers? Now, you know what, with me, I don't get heckled a lot. I think people think that I know how to fight, but I don't. I danced competitively growing up, like tap, jazz, ballet, music theater. I am built like a guy who would know how to fight or know how to handle confrontation. But if someone tapped me, I would fold like a deck of cards. I also kind of have this like commanding voice, not only in interviews, but on stage. I'm high energy, right? So it doesn't give the audience a lot of opportunity to interject and be like, well, I think they don't have that kind of time. So I've been lucky. That being said, I had one really bad heckler experience. It was actually at a show that I was running in my hometown of Stony Creek. Now, there's this guy in the front row. He was 350 pounds, 6'5". He was huge. He was super drunk, and he was talking during the whole show. So he kept talking to the comics. There's some great comics who know how to handle hecklers because they, this is what they can do. And then I get on stage and I try to be nice to the guy. I go, you know what, buddy? You're a little drunk right now. That's okay. You're a nice guy. Let's just try to keep it quiet for the rest of the show. And he goes, oh, yeah, man, I don't care. He was like some big Croatian guy. And he's like, I don't care, man. And I'm like, all right, you don't care? I'm like, someone get this piece of crap out of here, man. Get him out of here. And he stands up and he's like, you called me a piece of crap. And he charged the stage. I went and grabbed the oak stool, because on all comedy stages there's a stool, and I grab it to go hit him with it, and someone stepped in front and stopped him, and it took eventually actually 7 guys to get him out of the building. I was trying to play it cool on stage, but I was terrified. So yeah, but that's really the only time that's been like, whoa. But other than that, I'm kind of like a gym teacher. Like if there's talking, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna stop until you guys can get into start behaving. And when you guys start behaving, I'll continue my material. And they're all like, okay, all right, fine. He's wearing a blazer, so we better listen to him, Mr. Johnston.
Because I don't think people go to these shows to be...
You'd be surprised. Now, with hecklers, it's like, people who heckle are generally people who want or think they could be comics. But they don't have the balls to go up and be a comic. So they think, I'm going to go to the show and interrupt. Or I'm going to go to the show and get noticed. If the comic talks to me, I'm going to be funny too, then I'm going to be a comic. That's the mindset of most hecklers. Some people are just evil. Some people are just evil, drunk idiots. But 90% of the time, it's a guy or a girl who thinks that they could do what I do better than me.
Guys will go out there like, we're going to pre-drink! Bro, we're going to fucking pre-drink, bro! They're fucking funneling beers. Shots of Jägermeister, crushing beer cans on their foreheads. They're animals. Then they go to the bar. Now there's always one guy. And it's the same guy every fucking time. And his name is always like Mikey. It's always a Mikey. Right? These guys all know a Mikey. They're like, it's him. You're the Mikey.
His name is Chad.
Even worse. Look at this photograph. Good for you, buddy.